Hi, my name is Blythe Golden, and I'm the assistant softball coach at Gulf Coast State College. I was a former athlete here at Gulf Coast State College. My freshman and sophomore year out of high school, I played my first 2 years here at the JUCO level. And after I finished my 2 years at Gulf Coast, I transferred to Stetson University. It's a Division I school in DeLand, Florida. Stetson is it's a smaller Division I, and it's private, so the academics were very rigorous there, but also the softball competition was very strong. And they compete in the Atlantic Sun Conference and do very well. My route was a little bit different than some others because I did take the JUCO route. I was from a smaller town that didn't get a lot of exposure as an athlete because travel ball at the time was just coming about. So I kind of jumped from team to team. I was kind of a pickup player, and so I didn't get a lot of exposure at the high school level. So I came to Gulf Coast, which was an hour from my house, and had a wonderful experience. I got to jump right in and get my feet wet, play 2 years, grow as an athlete, get a lot better. And I was able to jump right into Stetson and be a full-time starting catcher for them. So I ended up being a full-time player all 4 years because of the route that I chose to take, and was able to prepare myself athletically to compete at the Division I level. A typical week for me at Stetson and Gulf Coast were about the same, but I'll elaborate more on my experience at the 4-year. We would wake up about 6:30 every morning, and we would go to weights. That was about 3 days a week, both in season and out of season. We lifted as a team. Our strength trainer would have workouts for us to do. We would work legs one day. We would do backs and bis one day, chest and tris. It was a total body workout. We would not really do much conditioning in this session. It would just strictly be weights. Then we would run home and shower, grab breakfast if we were lucky, and head to class for the day. Class usually ran from 8 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, sometimes 1. Classes varied, and labs get in the way a lot sometimes because all your science labs are at night, and those classes aren't very flexible. So especially in the fall, we tried to get all of our science and lab classes out of the way in the fall because we're a spring sport. So our athletes you were going to have to be forced to miss some days. So it was better that we miss class in the fall than in the spring. So we would try to schedule those labs and the 4-hour science classes in the fall. So we would go to class sometimes. I was a catcher, so pitchers and catchers always had to show up early, unfortunately, to run bullpens. So I would come to the field about 1:30 every day, and we would run bullpens, and then we would start team practice, and most of our conditioning was done at practice in the spring. Now, in the fall, we would have our practice time is limited. The NCAA limits you to X amount of practice days and hours you can spend per day practicing per week. So in the fall, we didn't really have a whole lot of practice time as far as our sport was concerned, so we could do other things like conditioning and lifting weights where no balls were involved. So we would go to conditioning practices where we would do sprint workouts. We would do agility workouts with all types of things like jump ropes and boxes and lunges and all those kinds of things that help make us quicker and faster and stronger. So we would do that a lot more in the fall with less practice. In the spring, it's more practice with our conditioning involved in the practice. After practice, we would get done about 6 o'clock. We'd ice up our wounds and run off to the CAF where we would eat dinner as a team usually every night. And before we would head to our dorms and shower. And then about 7:30, 8 o'clock, once you finally get settled down, now you have to focus on all of your studies and your schoolwork because you've had no other time throughout the day to really cram any of that in. So at Stetson, for me, study hall for our team wasn't mandatory. Like I said, it was a pretty prestigious academic school, so all of us were pretty good students. But if they felt like you needed extra time as far as study was concerned, then they would give you study hall. They would help you with tutors. We had academic meetings that we met with our assistant coach once a month to check in based on our GPAs. So they were able to keep us on a good academic track. And if we were falling short or had any troubles, they would provide those opportunities for us. But so my day started at 6:30 in the morning and ended sometimes past midnight, trying to get all of my schoolwork done and prepare for the next day. Some of my biggest challenges as a student athlete were time management. I feel like that's the biggest hurdle that most college athletes have to face, because you're required to do so many other things besides go to class and study. Those obviously are a priority, but there's so many other things that you're required to do as far as community service, workouts, practice, special events, functions, team meetings. I mean, you have all these things that are required of you on a daily basis, and sometimes it's really hard to juggle all of those. And then to make sure that you're meeting your grades and your academics and what your coaches expect certain things from you, and you have to make sure that you're able to meet those on an athletic standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, as a student and from a student. So time management was probably my biggest challenge as a student athlete, but once you understand and you learn how to manage your time, it's such an enjoyable experience, and it's one that's invaluable if you do it the right way and really focus on making the best of your time. One thing I wish someone had told me before I came to college, and I found out really quick, is that oftentimes student athletes, and like high school students, you have your parents and your teachers stay on top of you. So-and-so, you didn't turn your homework in. So-and-so, you didn't hand this assignment in. Or your mom and dad making sure that you're getting your homework done, that you've studied for your test the night before, always kind of on your back, making sure that you're getting things done. When you get to college, it's a much different experience. You don't have someone standing over you, making sure that you're turning in your assignments and that you're keeping up in your classes, and that you didn't do this assignment or you forgot to take this test. At the college, the responsibility is completely on your shoulders as a student athlete. No one's going to run around behind you and check up on you, so it's important that you stay organized and you know when everything is due. You know exactly what's expected of you, that you're on time, that you're at all the functions that you need to be at, you're at all your workouts, you're at all your classes, because as a student athlete, that's what's expected of you. You're expected to be the best student and you're expected to be the best athlete. So all the things have to be done, and there is no one there telling you when to do it, what to do. It's all on you. So learning that responsibility your freshman year is a huge wake-up call, I feel like, for a lot of student athletes, because you really have to be diligent and self-driven to be able to get these things accomplished. My favorite part of being a student athlete had to be the competition. I'm a very competitive person by nature, and I'm sure that most of you are too, and that's why you play sports. But being able to be competitive gave me an outlet, somewhere where I could take a skill that I felt like I was good at, something I could get better at, and put it to use for the benefit of not only myself, but for something bigger than myself, which was for a team. And being able to have that competition on a daily basis and challenges help not only give me an outlet away from school, but it helped me gain bigger and better things that I couldn't have gained by myself, which were championships. When I played at Gulf Coast State my sophomore year, we were able to win the Panhandle, our conference championship, and then we went on to the state tournament, and we won a state championship that same year. Although at our national tournament we fell short and we were runner-up, but I was able to experience those things, and that's something that you can't experience anywhere else but being a part of a team. And when you're with a collegiate team and you win championships of that magnitude, it's such a great experience. When I went to Stetson the following year, my junior year, I was able to win a conference championship there as well for the Atlantic Sun, and able to compete in the NCAA regional tournament, which was an awesome experience and one that I'll always have with me. So for me, the competition and the camaraderie was the best part about being a student athlete. There are a lot of perks about being a student athlete. Obviously, you get free clothes and you get to travel and see parts of the country that you've never seen. And you're well known around campus. Everybody knows your face, but with that comes responsibility and accountability as well, because you are held to a higher standard as a student athlete, and a lot more is expected of you because of that, because of all these things that you get and all the prestige that you're given. It does have come with a lot of responsibility. But the friendships that I made being a collegiate athlete are some of the best friendships I've had and still have to this day in my life. All of my friends that I've made both at Gulf Coast and at Stetson are still a huge part of my life. We talk daily. I'm in the coaching profession now, and some of my friends are too, so we talk as colleagues. And it's so important that I was able to develop those relationships through that experience and playing sports in college, because I felt like it gave me a family. It gave me something to be a part of, and it just gave me so many experiences that I couldn't have gotten anywhere else. I learned how to be a team player. I've learned how to be accountable not only to myself but to 15 other girls at the same time. I've learned how to work with people. I've learned how to overcome failures and struggles. As a team, you're going to experience times when you're not performing well, or you're going to experience losses, and it helps build your character. It makes you learn how to be a good loser, not a sore loser, but it also teaches you lessons and teaches you how to be a champion. And that kind of ties into my long-term benefits. As far as long-term benefits, me especially, I'm in the coaching profession, so being a student athlete is so important. Was important, still is important, because it ties in directly with my career. I know what my athletes are going through on a daily basis. I know the experiences that they're having, and I'm able to kind of help mold them and help shape them, and the advice that I give them is, I feel like, better because I understand. And just being able to work as a part of a team, being able to get along with my coworkers, and just knowing that I'm always in the spotlight, or people know who you are in the community. As an athlete, I was prepared for that. Now as a coach, coaches, the news always wants to talk to you, and the newspapers are here, and you have your critics and you have your fans. But I was already prepared for that, because as a student athlete, I was faced with the same challenges. So being a student athlete has taught me, how to overcome the struggles that I've faced, to be a better team player. It's given me leadership skills that I use on a daily basis with my career, and I think that it's made me and also all of my teammates and former players and players now much better people because of their experience.